Well, you might have heard the now popular saying in reference to the left that if it wasn't for double standards, they would have no standards at all. You know what? Buckle up. We're in for a hell of a ride. Welcome to Courage and the Constitution. I'm just a guy digging behind the headlines to get to the nuggets of truth. I'm tired of the rhetoric and the propaganda. I'm being lied to by the media. I just want to know what's going on in the world. So let's do this. So there was a lot of fanfare and stuff going on around the election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris into the presidency. One thing that the left has been pushing really hard is a whole lot of stuff around Corona. In fact, one of the very first things Biden did with all of those executive orders that he signed is he signed one mandating, right? A mandate. It's how else can you explain it? It's mandated. It's not without question. You can't question it. It is. It's like being a soldier, and your officer over you gives you an order. There's no question. You just do it. Mandating. He mandated on all federal property at all times, all masks must be worn, and typical protocols around Corona that we're so now used to must be followed. 6 foot distance, all of that kind of stuff. Mandated. Signed executive order on all federal property. So I want to show you something. I'm going to put it up right here. A picture of, that's the Biden clan there, of this new administration, all standing there, Lincoln Memorial, maskless, not 6 feet apart. Mandated, all federal properties, all times, no exceptions. So, right there is an example of why people call BS on these kind of mandates and all these kind of lockdowns that we're seeing that are crippling businesses, crushing life, increasing suicide rates crazily. But we even had a lady in Canada who, when they heard that they were going to get another lockdown, she opted for it was right before Christmas. She opted for the suicide. They have legal suicide there, with the doctor's help. She opted for that. Her family gathered around her, saying, as they essentially put her to sleep and sent her off into the next realm. Why? Because she couldn't handle being locked down in the care center she was in, where even residents could not see each other in solitary confinement. She would rather die. And she did. Deliberately. On purpose. Okay, so this is why we see, and I'm going to do a separate thing on COVID, but this is why we see things where in New York, they arrest a man for opening his tiny little business. It's like a little barbecue joint or something like that. Say you cannot have any business open, you're in a red zone, when about 2 blocks down the road, in the yellow zone, there's a Costco open, full of people, including the food court, packed. Or the lady in California who had a bar, and she could not open, and she invested a bunch of money for her small business. It's a lot of money to set up all this outdoor dining, all this situation to be compliant, especially with California's COVID laws, right? So she sits there and she sets all that up. Right after she invests in it, the state comes out and says, oh, no, now you can't do it. And what's happening in the same lot that she shares? Hollywood has this huge tent set up with tons of tables and chairs all next to each other because they're going to be doing some filming there, and that's allowed. Think about that. Is COVID just affect one group of people and not another? Is that what it is? Is it, if you're the elite, you can't get it, but if you're not, you better submit? It's 100% rules for thee, not for me. That's what it is. It is absolute hypocrisy. And not only is it hypocrisy, how serious are these people really taking it? Especially since we know it has almost a 100% chance, better than 99%, almost 100% chance of survival rate. You get it? Some people get really sick and it sucks. Other people, it's like, okay, gone, whatever. Wasn't a big deal. Yeah, we're shutting down our lives and our world for this. The World Health Organization has come out saying, no shutdowns. There are more than double the amount of people who have died as the effect of shutdowns You don't think that industry can't be getting done, and so people in third world countries especially who do the harvesting of particular goods or work in the factory, because shipping isn't happening, industry isn't open, businesses aren't open, these people can't do anything. They're starving to death. Starving, literally starving to death, watching their children die. Those images we used to see in the 80s and 90s of Sally Struthers out, in Ethiopia with starving children, because of this. Yet Hollywood can open up. So we see this with Joe Biden. And in fact, there's a reporter from Fox. I don't remember. I really don't remember what. I don't remember what network he was with. But there's a reporter who questioned the new press secretary of the White House, right? In regard to why? Why did they do this? Especially right after this mandate. Listen to their answer. She'll answer. He'll ask a second question. She'll answer again. I just want you to listen objectively. Pay special attention to the deflection. And then at the end, we're going to go ahead and move on. Take a look.
Why weren't President Biden and all members of the Biden family masked at all times on federal lands last night if he signed an executive order that mandates masks on federal lands at all times?
At the inaugural
At the memorial, yes.
I think, Steve, he was celebrating an evening of a historic day in our country, and certainly he signed the mask mandate because it's a way to send a message to the American public about the importance of wearing masks, how it can save tens of thousands of lives. We take a number of COVID precautions, as you know, here in terms of testing, social distancing, mask wearing ourselves as we do every single day. But I don't know that I have more for you on it than that.
But as Joe Biden often talks about, it is not just important the example of power, but the power of our example. Was that a good example for people who are watching who might not pay attention normally?
Well, Steve, I think the power of his example is also the message he sends by signing 25 executive orders, including almost half of them related to COVID. The requirements that we're all under every single day here to ensure we're sending that message to the public. Yesterday was a historic moment in our history. He was inaugurated as President of the United States. He was surrounded by his family. We take a number of precautions, but I think we have bigger issues to worry about at this moment in time.
So, what do you think? Okay, so there's some things that we know about COVID. We've had, like in various places around the country, we've had, here in Georgia, we're pretty well open. But in a lot of places, there's been curfews, right? Set at 10 o'clock. So there's some things that we know about COVID. One, COVID comes out after 10, but not before, but after 10. But there's a few exceptions to that, a few caveats. Let me explain. Two is that COVID really only affects conservatives and Republicans, right? Only affects conservatives and Republicans. We know that, number three, super spreader events only occur with conservative rallies. Take Trump rallies, for example. The tens of thousands that would show up to every single rally. Tens of thousands. Yet did we see a spike from COVID in those? No. And how do we know that? Because if we did, the media would have been on it like that, attacking it. They were sitting back like rabid dogs just waiting for some kind of real super spreader event to occur. Never happened. Never. So, but they still didn't stop them from calling it super spreader because that was already in the psyche of their low-informed constituents in this nation. Happened to be the same ones that voted Joe Biden. So we know that it can only affect, it only comes out after 10 o'clock. It only affects conservatives and Republicans. And super spreader events are only those that are conservative related. Take Klan rally. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's what the left calls them, right? Because everybody who supports Trump is now a Klan member, dangerous, racist, white supremacist, domestic terrorist. That's what they say. Hashtag Cory Bush. So I'm in Trump rallies. The thousands of people that gathered on the streets, to loot, riot, protest, murder in several cases, burn things down, arson. Now that's okay. That's okay. Or right after the election, and everybody thought, oh yeah, Joe Biden won. We're going to go out and celebrate. The thousands of people around the country who went out and celebrated, like in Chicago, where Lori Lightfoot went out with the people. Where in DC people were celebrating and drinking from chalices and champagne bottles and passing them all around to each other, to people they didn't know, just passing it around. But don't worry, that's left, so they don't get COVID. It's only the right, okay? So it's only the right. Remember that. If you're on the left, you're fine. And we also know, for example, of the likes of, let's take Gavin Newsom, Lori Lightfoot, Nancy Pelosi, Lori Whitmer, this entire crew here. Hunter Biden and his women. Ask me for those photos. Governor Whitmer, Andrew Cuomo, you name it. Chris Christie. It's okay for them to go out and defy their own rules several times over, get caught, and like Gavin Newsom just be like, oh, well, I guess I shouldn't have done that, and I should have known to walk away, and that was a terrible example, and I'm sorry. And then he gets caught doing it again. Do you see? These people don't even believe in the same thing that they're telling us. They don't believe in the same thing they're telling us to do. It's rules for you. It's not rules for us, or rules for thee, not for me. They don't live by it. They live in this world of elitism. They don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about your business. They don't care about your life. They don't care about you feeding the child. Remember, the stimulus checks that were supposed to come out, Trump has been trying to push for those for a while. 2,000. Oh, and they kept getting stalled. Why? Was it because of the right? No, now Republicans are pieces of, not all of them, but many of them are every bit as bad as Democrats. But it was being held up by Democrats. Do you remember that time in September when they wanted to really push out another stimulus? And Pelosi and the crew said, hey, we're going to go on vacation now for a month. We'll be back in a month to talk about it. Or has that so been forgotten? And Trump that whole time trying to push things out. If you watched press conferences, you'd see Kayleigh McEnany come out all the time, challenging Pelosi, challenging Schumer, challenging the left, saying, hey, we're putting this out. Sign it. We're trying to get it to the people. No. And then when they did do the 2001, why did Trump say this ain't happening? Was it because he wasn't trying to get money to the people? No, because he's been trying to get money to the people. But when you've already in a huge deficit the way we are in this country, when we're already, the percentage between our national debt and GDP is off the charts in the negative, when we've already printed over 60% of all currency in this nation in the last few months, when Joe Biden wants to come in and set up a federal $15 minimum wage, killing businesses, setting up a high corporate tax, opening up trade agreements we used to be in so corporations can go back overseas, when you have things going on with COVID, it's hypocrisy. All hypocrisy. And that's why I said at the beginning of the video, if it wasn't for double standards, the left would have no standards at all. Now, clearly, let me come at this now objectively. With what happened at the White House, all the people sitting there, I'm making a lot of this. There's certain things I'm saying in this video, kind of in jest and sarcasm. Here's the reality of what's going on. The real situation, if we step back and we look at it objectively, people around those events and such, people at the White House, the Bidens, the Harrises, all these different people that were there around the inauguration, just as the Trump team was, especially in using this entire year to create political advantageous situations and having to do a good show. These people are tested every single day, sometimes several times a day for COVID. So we know it's probably safe to know that the people that were standing there on the Lincoln Memorial were without COVID. So practicality, it's not a big deal that they went up there and took a picture. It's really not. Okay? I know we can make a big thing of it and push it and make it political, but it's not a big deal. Look at it in reality. The problem is the left does not approach these things in reality, as I've shown you. The left does not care about the reality. The point why people are upset about this is because, like I said, they've used this last year to weaponize COVID politically as a way to make Trump look as bad as possible. The deaths that Andrew Cuomo is responsible for in his country, the thousands of deaths that, I can't remember, it's his, her, whatever, the new name of that new assistant health so-and-so, the trans individual in the White House now, responsible for deaths of people in Pennsylvania by removing them from hospitals and putting them in nursing homes. Governor Whitmer in Michigan for the same thing. But no, they turn it all back around and spin it because the low-informed, they just listen to what they're told and I believe it. And put it on Trump because they can't. These people can't think for themselves. They've given that up. That's the only reason that they were so deranged about Trump. Anyway, you can't use that for an entire year, beat people down with it, end businesses, end lives, create the carnage and the havoc and the destruction, create this huge unemployment pool that we now have, kill the economy that was booming, all because you wanted to weaponize something against a man because you hate him so much, because he's not part of your establishment, and you just can't have it. Not to mention the more than double the amount of people who have died related to shutdowns than have actually died from COVID globally. And you dare go up there after signing these edicts, these executive orders, mandates, saying at all times, in all places federal, you wear a mask. And you dare go up there and do it. So practicality, no, I get it. Probably no COVID. Big deal. You can hang up there all day. Everything's going to be fine. But that's not the point. The point is you can't do what you've done to this nation for the last year, what you've done to the right, what you've done to Trump, what you've done to his supporters, what you've done to Republicans, what you've done to conservatives, what you've done to your own people, and then think you can get away and just do that. And now it's going to be forgivable and it's going to be okay. You've brought a nation damn near to civil war with itself. So no, it's not okay. It's not okay. Not at all. I'm sick of it. And that's why I'm calling them out. Practically, objectively, like I said, big deal. They're fine. No COVID in them. They can hang out there. Nothing's going to happen. But don't do what you've done to us and expect us just to look at something like that and say, no, that's cool. So kudos to you, reporter, for bringing that stuff out. And way to deflect the question. Press secretary. I will tell you, or not press secretary, but that, I can't remember the title now. But I'll tell you what. She ain't got nothing on Kayleigh McEnany. Man, I wish we had her back in. She was a boss. Anyway, enough of that. What are your thoughts on it? Are you able to see through the ruse? Can you see through the veneer? Can you see through the sly language and the slick little, sleight of hand that they do? What are your thoughts? Share them. And if this video connects to you, if it makes sense, please like, share, subscribe. I'm working very hard to bring you this content out and researching and reading and taking the time to do that because I really want to produce something that's factual but gives a really good insight into what's going on and share that with y'all. And if you think that would benefit other people and you think this channel is worth growing, then please like, share, subscribe. That would do a lot to get our voice out, maybe help change some minds. And who knows? It'd definitely help us out. That's for sure. All of us. And I want to leave you with one last thing. Stand on integrity. Don't forget your principle. There's a side that's already done that. Don't do that. Don't be like that. Use wisdom. Use discernment. And don't ever let anybody control you with fear. Thanks, y'all.